Today is January 31st, and the readings all point to the same question. What do we trust when life feels hard or uncertain? Is it our breath and awareness, an external savior, or a system that tells us who we're supposed to be? Let's look at how each of these paths shapes the way we live and respond to the world around us. Hi, I'm Candy. I'm a hypnotherapist who's deconstructing from evangelical Christianity, and I know how mindset shapes our behavior. So in this series, I'm going to share my daily reflections from 3 different devotionals. The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo, and that one's a little more spiritual, non-religious. Also, Jesus Calling by Sarah Young, which is a very modern Christian approach. And My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers, which is a very classic Christian angle. My goal is to help you see how each one of these devotionals or these day books might shape your mindset a little differently. And if you're into that kind of reflection, please like and follow for more. Let's get started. So for January 31st in the Book of Awakening, the message is kind of about your breath and how it is the tool for change. It's always with you, ever present. And it is right under your nose, literally. So when you are in a moment that you feel maybe you're stuck, you feel like clinging to something, you feel anxiety. We're talking about inward anxiety. We're not talking about outward. Like if there's a car coming at you to hit you and your nervous system kicks on in fight, flight, listen to it, right? That is what it's for, to keep you physically alive, right? But sometimes it's going into fight, flight when it's not necessary. This is when awareness is, you need to use your breath and awareness to create change. So you become aware that you're feeling a desire to cling, to run, to speed up, to hide, whatever it is. In that moment, pause and breathe. Just notice your breath. Bring your awareness to the inhale and the exhale. When you give a longer exhale, you give the signal of safety. Because we don't take long exhales when we're in fight, flight, when we need to run. We've got short breath. The breaths are short and quick. When you take a long, slow exhale, you are signaling to your nervous system, everything's okay. I'm okay. You might even notice that sometimes after a stressful situation, maybe where you get cut off by a car and it startles you, like you feel like you had flashes of, an accident. And after that's over, you kind of sigh. It's basically your nervous system regulating itself to getting back to a place of balance, of calm. So in that moment, breathe. And oftentimes, it's your old programming. However you were programmed subconsciously is what hinders your change. What hinders you from breaking into a new life that you want, keeps you in loops, because it will find what's comfortable. It will sabotage things to keep you comfortable. If you're not aware, you can't stop it. But when you're aware, you can. So you stop, you take a breath. And whatever the urge is, if the urge is, I want to run away from this situation, do the opposite. Stay still, stay present, engage in the situation. Again, we're not talking about outward anxiety. We're talking about this inward anxiety that has nothing to do with what's happening outside. Maybe you're being triggered, like let's say somebody has a fear of spiders. One method, a very effective method, is exposing them to spiders. So you see a spider on a wall and you want to run, you want to scream, whatever, sit there with the spider, just watching it. And it can reduce the anxiety as you breathe, long exhales. Or If your tendency is one to cling, I've had times in my past where I would cling to relationships that were not good for me. And when I finally was willing to just let go, it felt oddly good. I felt relief. So, because I had a program of people pleasing. And so when I could let go of the urge to people please, it changed things. So you can apply this to whatever your situation is. A lot of times you have to do the opposite of what the nervous system is saying in situations where you know you're safe. And there might be times it tells you you're safe in a situation where you are not because you've been programmed. But your intuition will start kicking on. It'll start picking up on certain things. So learn to listen to your intuition. And that's a whole nother skill when you've been programmed to not listen to it and also just shamed of your inner guidance system. So you're basically turning the inner guidance system back on with awareness, using your breath as your tool to connect to it, to the body. You're connecting the mind and the body back up. They are connected, but you're remembering that and you're working them together because they tend to work, kind of battle each other. When they're one, they need to work together. So as you breathe, notice what your body's doing, notice what your mind's running to, and then make a decision. And a lot of times it is the opposite of what it's saying. And I'll leave it at that. For Jesus calling, the message is basically Jesus is your strength and your energy to face the day. That can bring a lot of comfort when you're an evangelical. I won't deny. He's your shield, always protecting you, always on, always aware. And if you entrust yourself to this understanding, you will feel peace. And I would not disagree that that will bring a sense of peace, because it's just like if you are nervous that you're going to oversleep something, right? It's an important meeting that you have to go to and you need to rest, but you're scared that you're going to oversleep. And so you trust in your alarm, but not maybe quite, but maybe somebody says, you know what, I will wake you up. I will make sure to wake you up. And if you really trust that person and they've built a trustworthy character, you rest easier, you sleep easier. That makes sense. The problem that I would have with this, this can calm the nervous system for sure. But what can happen is you can trust Jesus, and Jesus is subjective once again, based on what you've been taught who he is. And whoever your leaders think he is, that's what you're going to pick up. In an evangelical Christian, there's a lot of corruption. That's all I got to say. And if they're telling you you can trust Jesus in this situation and you're doing something like, who's in power? Just trust us that God has put that person in power. So then you trust that person. Foolishness. You can act very foolish because you don't listen to your nervous system at all. You're relying on Jesus. And really, you're relying on your own understanding of who Jesus is, the interpretation you've been handed. So that is where I would have a problem with that. That mindset can develop that. And finally, for my utmost, for his highest, the message today is that your primary goal in life is to evangelize, preach the gospel, share the gospel. We know that's what evangelicals do. They push it on people so much. It feels like it's being shoved down your throat. And then they get mad if anybody shares anything else. I have seen people that are evangelicals get so bent out of shape if a Muslim prays in an event they're at. They cannot handle it. But yet all the Muslims and everybody else is supposed to just be fine with it if they pray. And they better not complain about it, because they'll say, this is a Christian country, or, they'll push back because it's only they think they own the way to God, the path. They have it and they don't even question it. He also goes on to say that your godliness comes from your redemption, not the other way around. Your redemption doesn't come because you're godly. So basically, your goodness, how you behave, comes because you're redeemed. You're not good and then redeemed because you're good. Which there can be benefits to this way of thinking, that you just doing good things doesn't make you necessarily a good person, because you could be actually deceiving people and have a different plan. That's true. But when it comes to this redemption idea, this is actually based in redemption, just means like you have a defect that needs to be redeemed, fixed, made new again without the defect. So basically it's talking about your sin nature. You are defective. And once your defectiveness is fixed because of Jesus and you believed it, now you can be good. And that is a flaw. There's a flaw in that, because then you'll see people who are atheists who do not believe any of that behave more good and kind without these motives behind it to please a God or to prove that they're saved. So I think there's something to that. In Christianity, it's like they don't want it based on that, because then everybody's trying to prove through works, I guess, maybe. So I mean, that's where the comfort came for me. Like, you're not saved by work. So it's like, because I was constantly striving and striving and striving to be better and better and better. And it does bring relief to say it's not by your works. That brings relief to someone who's striving. But what it doesn't do is someone who's not striving, then they're like, I can be as bad as I want. I'm redeemed. Right. So that's where the problem lies with that. So that's the 3 different books. That's what they have to say for today. Take what you will from them. And the one thing I will say about my utmost is also the idea of the gospel. What is that? It's subjective. Not every, I didn't even know fully what the gospel was until I went to a very fundamentalist church, and then they made it just about believing this one little thing: Jesus died on the cross for your sins. That's it. But that brings up a whole host of questions. What are my sins? Who's Jesus? Why did he need to die? And so then you got to tell that stuff. So the gospel is more than just a phrase. It was a message. What was it? I don't think it was at all what evangelicals preach, but that's for a different day. So have a great day. Remember, you get to decide what you devote your thinking to today. You might not be able to control every thought that comes in, but you can definitely decide what you entertain. And whether it comes from something I've said today or something completely different, choose wisely and set an intention that truly benefits you and those around you. And if you found any value here today, don't forget to like and follow. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and let's keep our minds on what helps us love ourselves and each other a little bit better every day.